So I actually played a Resident Evil game and I enjoyed it. No one is more shocked about that than me. I usually shy away from the Resident Evil series. Survival horror has never been my cup of tea, so despite recognizing the quality of the majority of the Resident Evil games, I've only really partaked in Resident Evil Nemesis and Resident Evil 1 from back in the day. By the way, I literally own every single Resident Evil game on the Xbox. I really have a problem with buying games I don't play. Moving on. Fast forward to today, and I tried out the Resident Evil 3 demo, much like how I did with the Resident Evil 2 remake demo last year. But unlike last year, this one really resonated with me. Maybe it was the overabundance of ammo, maybe it was the slightly more action feel of Resident Evil 3 compared to Resident Evil 2, but whatever it was, I liked it, and I actually went forward with buying this game on Steam. So coming from a Resident Evil noob and someone who played Nemesis a gazillion years ago and can only remember the highlights of what happened in the first game. I mean, I completely forgot who Carlos was. I was genuinely excited and engaged in the story for this. Let me go ahead and just start this review proper by getting into the story first. So, the story in Resident Evil 3 has you following Jill Valentine, a member of the elite task force called STARS, a subdivision in the Raccoon City Police Department. And following the events of the first game, Jill is investigating exactly what the hell is going on with a typical evil corporation called Umbrella, and as well as working on getting out of the city as soon as possible. Now, unfortunately, Jill doesn't leave before it all hits the fan and a bioweapon hunting machine called Nemesis attacks her. And he's dead set on completing his mission of eliminating all STARS members, and Jill will need to team up with a mercenary group ran by Umbrella who've been sent into Raccoon City to save civilians, or so they claim. So the main characters from this group you'll encounter are Carlos, Mikhail, Tyrell, and Nikolai. The city is overrun with zombies as the T-virus infection is spreading rapidly, and you as Jill are trying to find a way out of the city and to get as far away from Nemesis as possible. So all this tracks pretty much with the original story. Jill's outfit has changed a bit to the dismay of lonely weirdos everywhere, but she has 3 separate outfits that can be available without mods. I'm not getting into the mods. The PC community is equal parts talented in their ability to mod games and creepy with what they choose to do with that talent. But Jill's outfits that come with the game is a similar outfit to her original, another outfit where it's just a jean and t-shirt, and a third outfit, her actual STARS uniform that can be unlocked after completing the game. Now, the only thing you can do with Carlos is change his hairstyle back to the original. In my opinion, his new hairstyle fits the design of the character much better, but cutscenes are extremely well done with realistic looking character models. Aesthetics aside, the story remains pretty damn good. The voice acting is solid. I mean, I can't think of a single voice actor that made me cringe in this one. And usually, no matter how narrative driven the game is or how much the developer puts into getting talented voice actors, I always tend to find 1 or 2 of them to be cringy and annoying as hell. I'm happy to say that this is not the case in Resident Evil 3. Everyone does a great job here. For those of you who are longtime Resident Evil fans, you may be dismayed to know this one has 2 areas, the clock tower and park, missing from the original. As a non-Resident Evil fan, I'm good with that. Nostalgia isn't affecting me whatsoever. So some negatives I do have with this one is how short it is and how Nemesis was implemented. So the game only took me 6 hours to complete on normal difficulty. I'll get into the game length more later on. I know there are other people who complete this game quicker. Nemesis is super predictable. Outside of his initial reveal, I predicted literally every time he was going to show up. Even when I can tell the developers wanted it to be a surprise, it wasn't. It was highly predictable. He always shows up after you complete a task or we're about to move forward to a new area. Now, in my opinion, they should have mixed this up more. Have him appear in the middle of an objective instead of always at the beginning or end of one. I can't imagine how I would have reacted if he appeared while I was fighting those weird sewer monsters, but otherwise, Nemesis was decent, but not implemented as well as he was in the original game. Gameplay. So, Resident Evil 3 is more action-oriented than Resident Evil 2 remake. There is more ammo available, and you don't need ribbons to save your game on typewriters, so you can save as many times as you want in normal mode. As a casual Resident Evil fan and someone who doesn't care too much for survival horror, I thank the devs for that. Appreciate it. Camera view is fixed behind your character in a third-person perspective, and like last year's remake, the new controls are way better than the old school tank controls, which added extra tension with how terrible they were. There is a dodge mechanic that has been implemented. I didn't find it to be very useful. I dodge zombies and still get caught in this animation where somehow me getting past the zombie did not matter, and now I'm getting bit anyway. I also didn't care for why I'm making an effort to get away from the zombies by jamming the A button, but once I'm in that animation, I'm going to get bit anyway. Side note here, I also hate the narrative-wise. Getting bit means you're infected, and you see multiple characters get bit and then sacrifice themselves because they're done for, and yet you get bit all the damn time. They tried to explain this in a log you find later on, but it doesn't work for me. So anyway, Resident Evil fans may find all these changes to gameplay, minus the controls, a negative. A casual Resident Evil fan like myself would disagree though. I think Capcom knew what they were doing implementing these changes, and the goal was to hook people like me. Your typical Resident Evil fan is going to buy this game regardless of what they did to it. This entire game could have been Nemesis taking a T-virus colored dump in the middle of the street, and Resident Evil fans would have bought it anyway. So they targeted those who would have usually passed, and I think that worked. So back to this game length. I agree that 6 hours is way too short for a single player game like this. I do not know why they excluded parts of the original game that wasn't that long to begin with. Now, maybe Capcom felt charging $60 for this game was still justified considering they are including the Resident Evil Resistance multiplayer mode. This doesn't work for me, as nobody asked or wanted this mode, and it is poorly executed. Resistance is another group of 4 hero players against 1 villain player kind of mode that has usually failed to deliver every time it's been implemented by developers. You know, like that Evolve game that bombed some time ago, and Fable Legends that Xbox decided to cancel. I was in the beta for that. It was extremely boring. Maybe these kinds of multiplayer games just don't resonate with me, but even the games with this format that are considered successful, like Friday the 13th, I think are just utter garbage. Let me briefly speak on Resistance though. You choose one of a half-dozen survivors who've been kidnapped by the Umbrella Corporation to be experimented on and tested for. Who knows why? It's never really explained. The controls are similar to Resident Evil 3, but nowhere near as polished in input, nor are the animations as polished and good as they are in the actual Resident Evil 3 game. You get experience points to put towards cosmetics or other minor improvements to make for that specific survivor that you used. Now, in my opinion, this mode will be short-lived as it's not done very well, and it's difficult already to find matches. Now, I know the developer has come out and said that they're working on the matchmaking, but there's just only so much you can do when the game isn't good, the mode isn't good, and people don't want to play it. Overall, I enjoyed my time with Resident Evil 3 Remake, so much that I actually went ahead and bought Resident Evil 2 Remake. Widely considered to be a better game and probably not going to be as enjoyable to me considering its differences, but as far as Capcom is considered,
gotcha, bitch!
They got me to spend more money on their game, so hey, mission accomplished. Performance-wise, I have zero complaints. Again, I played it on my PC. My GPU is a RTX 2070 Super. My CPU is an i7 9700K. Had the game installed on a Samsung 970 Evo Plus, and I have 16 gigs of RAM. So the game loads up in 2 seconds or less, and I played it on a 1440p monitor with 1 millisecond refresh rate. So I'm pretty much had the game playing on ultra settings, an average of anywhere between 100 to 120 frames per second consistently. It was pretty awesome. Now, from what I've seen from multiple YouTube channels that do performance testing, the PS4 Pro was the best console to play it on. as it kept close to 60 frames per second for the most part at a dynamic resolution of 1600p. The Xbox One X had major frame rate issues, but Capcom has already released a patch that has lowered the resolution from dynamic 4K to 1600p, and at this point you can't go wrong with the Xbox One X or PS4 Pro versions. If you are on a base console like the Xbox One S, base Xbox One, or base PS4, you know, you don't care that much about performance if you're still using those, so it's going to do what it does and enjoy it for what you got, basically. But overall, I recommend Resident Evil 3 to Resident Evil fans and even non-Resident Evil fans like myself. It's a fun experience despite how short it is. For those who don't care for the resistance mode and feel like this game should have been DLC for Resident Evil 2 Remake, wait until it goes on sale and then pick it up. And Capcom does pricing for this one the way they did Resident Evil 2 Remake. You're going to get multiple opportunities this year to pick it up at $30 or so. So just grab it then. So yeah. Thanks for watching my video. If you like my review, hit the like button. If you dislike my review and hope I never review a Resident Evil game ever again, hit the dislike button. It's all good. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more reviews from me. Peace.